Hello everyone, Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. And in this video, I want to talk about coaching, specifically the kind of coaching that I do and what it's like to work with me. I've had a number of people email me or inquire about what it's like to work with me as a coach. And so I'm going to talk in this video about what that looks like. Why do coaching? What usually gets in the way for people around coaching, how it works, and then next steps. So if you're interested in coaching, if you want to learn about the kind of coaching that I do, which is transformational coaching, then listen and watch this video. Okay, so first of all, why do coaching? And so when people come into conversation with me about coaching, a lot of times they come from a place of, here's a list of all of the problems that I have, all of the things that are wrong with me, the things that I suck at. Let's fix them, right? So it's like a laundry list of things to do. And that's totally fine. But I find that not to be a powerful way to come into coaching. That's not a powerful reason why, even though I personally got into my relationship with my coach for these very reasons, or at least one. That's where I started. And so we have this laundry list, and we want to fix all of these problems. But what that does is, at the start of the coaching, is it first of all, it has us start from a place of, the why, from a place of like, I need to fix myself. Something is broken. I suck. It's not that inspiring, and we lose inspiration with that kind of coaching and that kind of work when we run up against our fear and against our blockers, which would be related to fear. And this is actually how it works outside of coaching. When we take on a project or habit change or some kind of self-improvement project from a place of, I'm doing it in order to fix something wrong with me that I don't like, that's fine to start with, but at some point we will drop it. This is why people quit projects or don't do well at habit change. It's because when they run up against their walls, their blockers, their fear, having a reason of, I need to fix these things that are wrong with me, isn't a good enough reason. It's not inspiring. It's not going to move us through the hardest stuff. So this is not a great reason to do coaching, even though I totally understand it. The reason to do coaching, to work with someone like me, is because there is something that you want in your life that isn't already there. There's some possibility that exists that you would like access to. And so for some people, it would be as simple as, I want to exercise. Well, why? Well, I want to feel alive. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel, good in my body. That is a possibility. That's a reason to do exercise. So what else? Okay, I want to do exercise. I want to meditate. Well, why? Well, to have more peace in my life. Okay, great. So you would like a life that is filled with peace. Peace and calm, it sounds like. Yeah, and what else? Oh, and spaciousness. I would like spaciousness. Okay, great. What else do you want in your life? Oh, I want to do better in my marriage, for example. Okay, why? What's the thing that would be available if you were able to do this in your marriage? Well, we wouldn't fight as much. Okay, great. That's fixing problems. But if you weren't fighting as much, what else would you have? Well, we'd have a great connection, intimacy, an ability to really appreciate each other, friendship and laughter and joy and play and adventure. Okay, great. That's something that you want in your marriage that doesn't exist right now. And maybe there's some of it, but there's more there that you want. And so the reason why to do coaching is because there's something that you want that is really not accessible to you right now for a number of reasons. Other reasons why might be like, oh, I want to create a new business. I want to take my current business to another level, or I want to take it to the next level while also having more space for myself, more rest. Or maybe you have a gift to offer the world, some kind of offering, some kind of value you want to bring, some kind of service, some way of helping others. And that would be really meaningful to you if you were able to finally do that. So that's a why. So there's a lot of things like this. Like, what would you like, in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What would be amazing? And as you start to connect to the possibility of your life, that is the why to do this kind of coaching. So we want to get present to that. And if you can ask yourself that as you watch this, is like, why would I do coaching? What would be amazing that I could create in my life if I were able to get supported and move through all of my fears and blockers? So that's the why. And then in terms of the how does it work? Well, in terms of basic logistics, I ask people to work with me for a 1-year commitment. And that's because if you start 3 months or 6 months, that might feel easier as a commitment, but you don't really get as much out of it. You don't really create that kind of deep transformation. You kind of hit up against the fears after 3 to 6 months, and then we stop working together if that were the commitment we were in, and then you wouldn't actually push through it. And so around 3 to 6 months is when you start to actually face some of the things. You're up against it, you're in it, and then we support you to move through it, so that a year long tends to be, gives you access to more actual transformation, because we support you to move through all of the juicy stuff, the things that you didn't want to face, but now you are facing because you're trying to move closer to what you want to create. So we start to create breakthroughs for this year-long commitment. In that year, what we would do is an hour-long audio phone call, audio coaching session, 1 hour long, every other week. We would have a standing appointment, and let's say it was Mondays at noon Eastern. Okay, great. So every other Monday at noon Eastern, we would have a coaching call. Now, I take June and December off, which means that for the 12-month coaching commitment, it will actually be stretched out over 14 months because of those 2 months off. I actually find that not only serves my ability to show up rested and rejuvenated, but actually is a good break for my coaching clients. They take the month off, but they are actually doing some of their practices during that month. And so when we come back, we have a lot of good stuff to look at. And so we have a call every other week, but in between the calls, you take on some work, let's say a project or a practice or a couple of practices, so that this is actually where you're starting to create what you want to create in your life. And then the next call, we might take a look at how did that go? What got in the way? What are we learning from that? Is there anything else that we can see from this last 2 weeks where you're doing work on your own that we can take a look at here in this coaching session? And so we would actually form a rhythm of you doing some work and practices for a couple of weeks on your own, coming back and taking a look at it and seeing what we can see and what we can work with, and continuing to move you forward, breaking through your old patterns, seeing what there is to see, getting present to how things work in your life. And as we do so, we're going to support you to move through all of this and create something new. A new pattern, a new possibility, a new way of being. We're working with a way of being in here, as opposed to just what are you doing? It's the thing that a lot of people miss, is what's underneath in the layer of being. It might sound all weird and strange to you. That's okay. I will support you in understanding this, but it's a really powerful way of coaching. It's the work that I do with my coach, and I've been coaching people in this way for a really long time. And what happens as we do this is you start to move through the old blockers, the things that you didn't want to experience, the thing you're afraid of. You start to move through them, and you start to practice a new way of being, something that's already inside of you, but you start to let that person out. And it becomes a new experience of life, a new place to come from as you do everything that you're doing in the world. And we start to become more and more fully expressed as ourselves. Less and less holds us back because we're afraid of less and less, and we're okay with working with our fears. This is a mindfulness practice. It's Zen training as well, and it's a deepening into commitment, and it's a willingness to get supported through all of this. It's a willingness to have someone be able to reflect stuff that you can't see in your blind spots. It's a willingness to work with someone else to understand how all of this works in your life. That is transformational coaching. That's the kind of coaching that I do. Now, I require a deep commitment in terms of how you show up for the coaching and the work that we're doing together, in terms of a time commitment and actually showing up for the calls, and a year-long commitment, and a big financial commitment. And so we'll talk about that on our exploration call if you want to connect with me. If you're interested in exploring this, I'm going to put a link to apply for the coaching that I do. If you can't afford my rates, I work with other coaches who serve the Zen Habits readers and community at a lower rate, so I can always refer you to them. But if you want to work with me, it requires a big financial and time commitment, energy, and your life. But what we create is deep transformation, something that is powerful, amazing, and that I really, really love. So if you're interested in working with me, click on the link below to apply, and let's do this. Let's explore. Okay, thanks, my friends.